I wanted to earn some kind of a pocket money, which was there. And what I saw is graphics design was that time kind of required segment which was there. And somebody asked me, like one of my senior asked me that, hey, do you want to design a poster and I can give you 500 rupees for it? And that's how the journey started. So I installed a cracked version of Photoshop during that time, and like, let me try. How can I do that? And I think that's how it started. It started from more of a graphics or a print media, and eventually I started building more interest around how exactly this design works. And if I talk, the motivation initially was definitely this pocket money, because it's a huge thing in college, how it's there. But eventually, then I got an opportunity with we had a college magazine society who prints college magazine and those kind of things. So I was like, can I design a magazine? Those kind of opportunity. And finally, like, I worked 3 years designing those magazine, kind of understanding how print media works over there, how basically a magazine page cuts. And then I actually did a, like, from coming out of a college, I was not a designer. I was a front end developer. I was working as a full stack developer for a company for around 6 7 months. I worked over there, but eventually I wanted to move to design, and I took a risk of kind of leaving the job. Then I was kind of unpaid for a couple of months, but because of my portfolio, which I built it during the college, more into print media or a graphics, or towards more focused into the visual and UI part, I got an opportunity with the startup, and eventually things came up one after another. There was no specific plan, as you asked, which I had, but it was more of the project I did it in the past, then it went to the next, and keep on happening. So yeah, that's bit about how I came to design.
So, okay, Bhaiya, you said that you started as a graphics designer. At starting you design posters. So, what was that moment when when designing became your posters and started as a graphics designer?
I'm sorry, your voice is entirely cracking. I'm not sure whether it's just me or
Okay. Hello,
sorry,
am I
your
audible?
voice. Yeah, now you're audible, but your voice entirely cracked. So can you just
Okay, okay.
repeat what exactly
So,
you asked?
so as you okay, sir, Bhaiya, as you said that you started as a graphics designer. So I wanted to ask that what was that moment when the designing stopped being just a poster designs and started becoming something deeper?
Okay. Um, I think one of the incident which happened when I was a front end developer also. So I was basically working for a project which was called as Merck Technologies project. So Merck is a one of the logistic company, the biggest logistic company in the world. So I was working for one of the software front end softwares for them. Um, while working on it, what happened is, because I knew bit about graphics design and UI design that time, and I was a coder, I thought, let me design this screen very well and give it, like, it was not the ask, but as like, if I do, my manager will come and say, "Oh, nice thing, you did it something extra." I did that entire thing. I designed it very well and given to the client. And I remember the head of the client side. There was a guy who was testing the software. He rejected before testing the design, and that was a shocking moment for me because I was like, this was so well designed, why it was a bit rejected? And when I had a conversation with him, what I understood is, when the software was being designed, it was designed to a very specific use case, which was a business use case, and they were using it for a dockyard station, where basically, if a container comes, as a employee, you fill up some of the forms and you enter into the database. What I did is I designed it so well that they started needing mouse to operate the form, because it was so good around it. But what exactly they do is they use tabs. That was their use case. Like, they just use keyboard to fill the entire form. Like, quickly click on tab, next, tab, next. They don't have time to basically touch the mouse. And what I understood is, now, because of my design, I increased the total time of submission of the form, and that impacted in like millions and millions of their revenue. That was the moment what I understood is, design is not just what we see, but there were like a lot of things behind it, which is there. And that made me more curious to start understanding how exactly what are these things there, um, how exactly I can go into design, what are the type of designs also there. Like it's back in 2016, so it's not that we had so much of resources during that time. But I started understanding what are different kind of design, what exactly is there. I think that was the turning point also for me, to plan into that. Okay, now I wanted to go into design, and let me explore, figure out how can I make my path into it. But yeah, that was the moment where I realized that yes, I definitely wanted to go into design.
Okay, Bhaiya. Where you come from engineering college background, and in general in engineering colleges, the designing often being misunderstood, like only for posters and all. So, how would you define real product or UX design?
Yeah, I mean, if I just compare with an engineering college versus a design, it's definitely a completely different segment, how it's there. But I still believe that a lot of engineering college now started understanding how it's designed. A lot of people have a department around it, like exactly what we're doing right now. We didn't have during that time. It was more into, okay, design is more into what it's graphics you said. So I mean, it's I would say things are changing right now, how it's there. But again, their point of view is also not incorrect, what I would say, because they are very focused into engineering, what exactly is there. Whereas if you look into it, there are a lot of design colleges right now into market, and um, definitely a lot of people understood what's a formal education actually looks like in design also. Trust me, I never had an idea that there is a formal education into product side of designing also. I knew about animation, I knew about this kind of a communication designs, but not too very much into industrial design or a human computer interaction or a kind of a product design. So it was never there. Um, but yeah, I mean, uh, I did more of a self learning during that time. Tried to figure out what exactly to be there. But yeah, that was my exposure, which was there in the college. But I had a great seniors into design, like the same society, who helped me also to understand what design actually design looks into the industry, how it's there. But to answer your question, there is a huge difference between how exactly it works in the industry versus how exactly in, like if you just talk about engineering, or even if I talk, it's slightly different than what exactly we see in a design college versus what exactly works in an industry. Biggest difference what I usually say is constraint. We work on a lot of constraint when we work in an industry, whereas if you just talk to me like what are the college projects or what we do, it's like something you have a liberty to kind of work into. But yeah, in industry we have constraints, we have some limitations, how exactly we work around. We have some processes. We need to ensure a lot of goals around it, like business goal, user goals, those kind of a thing. So yeah, it's different. It's a huge difference which is there.
Okay, so we have right now a lot of audience right now with us. So if anybody has any doubts or questions regarding design or career in design, you can just drop them in the chats and we will be taking them at the end. Okay. Bhaiya, so moving forward, from your experience, what impact can good design actually have on a product's business metrics or behavior?
Okay. I mean, as I said, a good design saves a lot of money. Definitely, it's there. So if I talk about like maybe 20 years back, you have never heard of so much of design people into the industry. It was more of that you code and a software basically goes like. What we started figuring out is when you don't involve design, you lose a lot of money around it. Why? Because it's not well tested. It's not well understood from a user's point of view. Maybe we just thought of from a business goal. So I think that's how the product designer or a UX designer or a UX researcher today comes into play, who basically bridge those gap between how a user thinks or need versus how a business goal is, where is exactly. So a good design definitely will make you a lot of money, saves you a lot of money, and a small mistake can lose a lot of things over there. So that's the make and break kind of a thing, which is there. So that's why it's important that we nowadays we keep on saying that uh, design is now became a vertical where we basically involve design from the beginning of the product life cycle. Previously it was like, okay, you have thought of something as a from a product team, and then you call a designer design some of the screens, figure out and hand it over to the engineering, and job is done. But if I talk about right now the life cycle of a design, it starts from the planning phase, ends till the product is out live, and then it circles back again from the beginning. So every part design is now been plugged in, how it's there. But yes, it saves a lot of money. A good design makes more. I would say again, it's a business metrics which we call like more retention maybe, or you have new user. People say active user, new user base, those kind of a thing. But yeah, just to give you a overall idea, it makes your product success. A good design, which is there. Again, when I talk about design, design consists of all these things like maybe a product design, a UX research around it, the planning behind as a design planning behind it. It's not just what you see in the front, but there are a lot of different processes involved behind. So yeah.
Okay, Maya, moving into the professional career, you have worked at three of the world's top tech companies, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. So, how does design culture differ across these companies?
Okay, so every company have their own nuances, which will be there. Like for example, maybe the process you follow in Amazon is not same as Microsoft, and same as Microsoft doesn't follow exactly the same process in Google, which is there. So everybody have their own processes, and those processes has been developed based on what kind of product the company works on, what kind of structure the company have, what fits well over there, which is there. So that's how it goes on a different perspective. If I just talk about as a design, um, it remains almost same everywhere, which is there. Like the core part of design remains same. Maybe your roles and responsibility may change in some of the places. As I was talking about as a product designer, now we started planning also about the product. Maybe in some other some company you will find somebody who's dedicated for a planning. In some places you will be like you will be responsible for working on the planning phase also. In some company, as a product designer, you may work on the research as well as the UI design or the screen design we talk about. But in some company, you will find a researcher also with you. Those kind of differences. So it's about the job role again, which you land up into it. But what I see is rather than more of a process, there is not a huge difference in design, which is there. That's why even if I work on a Amazon related project and I show it in a Microsoft related interview, it makes more like it's relevant to them also. They will be able to basically what I say, like understand what's my design process, because process remains same. The design process remains same across. It's just that couple of things, as I said, a few of the things is based on where exactly you are working on. And I'm not talking just about Amazon, Microsoft, or Google like company, but I feel right now whatever company I see where the design is like well established, the process is also kind of remains same. Just the nuances or maybe some of the few of the processes which is more of a manual kind of a thing, or maybe something which is very specific to the company changes.
Okay, Bhaiya. So, is there any project at these companies that change you and your shape of design philosophy?
I mean, project. See, with each of the project, I started like what I say, my learning path increased. Like if I just talk, so I think we are just talking about Amazon, Microsoft, or Google. But before that, I worked for a company called as On Bikes. for around 1.5 year. It was a startup company. It was a bike rental company in Bangalore. After pandemic, it's kind of stopped right now because they didn't have funding. But to talk about that journey, I mean, a lot of people just see for me is the journey which happened from Amazon, but there is a big journey which happened before Amazon, which is for this company. Um, I remember I was doing research, like when we wanted to do research. Right now, if I talk about research, we have hundreds of different kind of a tools which is there in the market. Like we talk about lab testing, A/B testing, usertesting.com. There are internal tools also. You get easily people to get one-on-one interview. If I talk about the process when I was working in startup, because that time even I was learning, the world was also learning, and we didn't have that kind of investment around it. Um, I used to go to the stations where basically people pick up the bike and start asking them about the feedback and all those things like what is your experience around the app which they're using to book the bike, um, how exactly you wanted to see. We get used to get a lot of call in customer care, so I used to understand what people are frustrated about from those. I go to Google Play Store and people write comments, right? Those were the processes during that time. Like it was a very manual processes I used to do. But going to Amazon, we started understanding there are different tools which actually helped around uh, capturing those things. And I worked on a lot of B2B things also in Amazon. Moving to Microsoft, I think the era of AI came into picture, which is there. So, like when basically the entire world moved towards the AI era, that's where we started working on AI-based product, which is there. Now coming to Google, now I'm working more towards the agents, which is there again, which is the next version of the AI which we look around. So I think with each of these steps, it's changing how basically the world is changing around what exactly the user needs outside. That's the growth path which is there. But yeah, like if you talk about how is the journey changed for me, like from a manual to right now something which is very agentic we work on. So yeah, that's how the projection of the growth is.
Okay. Yeah, so what skills helped you to break into companies like Amazon, Microsoft, and Google? Was it portfolio, problem solving, or was it something else entirely?
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about the process, interview process of this kind of company, what they look around is kind of a package, not to a very specific skill set. They look for somebody who have a good portfolio. Definitely, that's the basic criteria. That's I would say. I usually say it's a bread and butter, which we definitely need. But the question is, in market there are 20 designers and all have a portfolio. How do I judge? I have one position. Then the second step comes, how well, like what are the products you have worked on, what is your role into the product. Like the product I had in my career, it's kind of more of a end-to-end kind of a product. So it helped me also to understand the entire journey. That maybe helped me around it. But again, there is a possibility to out of 2010 designer is now have end-to-end product. Then how do you basically tell that, okay, I want to hire this designer? Then comes more of a what else you know other than design maybe. Now again, just to be very cautious about saying, right now if I just say that you need to know something else, a lot of people start learning coding. Okay, I'm a designer, I'll start learning coding, but the focus shift from design to a coding. But what I say is, if you are a good designer, then you have time to learn added on skill set. Definitely coding is a added on for you, because you understand now more engineering whom you will work very very closely. But that's not the only skill set we look for. Some people I've seen very good at motion. Some people may be video editing skill set. Now if you see now the how the world is actually moving around, we look around the people who have an AI related skill set. Like, do you know how to integrate AI in your day-to-day process? How it's there? Like just a very basic example, you have a full one paragraph. uh, do you always have to go through the entire paragraph when you don't have time? Can you summarize it with some kind of an AI? That's a very basic example how it's there. So we look around the people who have a look around those kind of a skill set. Also, we look around how well you are good in kind of contributing back to the team. Like, are you kind of working towards something, building a good team? There is something called as cultural fit. So there are a lot of aspects which is there other than just the skill set which is there. So if we just talk about a skill set, a lot of people think, okay, I'm a product designer, I know how to do a research, I know how to do a UI. That only will not land up into a job which is there. Definitely you need a good portfolio and all those things to reach there, but then definitely we look for what else you have. Now, as I said, there is one position, hundred of people applying, so you have to also push your boundary in a right way to ensure that you become that one person who basically land up into a job. If you just ask me what exactly I did to land up into a job, till date, I don't know. Everybody asked me the same question. I don't know exactly what happened, but what I did is I showed my process. I showed what exactly the skill set I'm trying to learn, which is there, and the things I'm keep on doing, and that eventually land up into kind of a job over this kind of a companies.
Okay, Bhaiya. So as you said that these days every designer almost has a portfolio. So how would you describe a strong portfolio and what differentiates a strong portfolio from an average one?
Okay. So what I say is again, the portfolio completely depends on what kind of role you're applying for. There is in market, there's something called as UX researcher. There is something called as UX designer. There is a higher, basically product designer who actually kind of do both the role hand in hand. So your portfolio needs to cater to what job role you wanted to apply. Now coming to, if I just talk about a product designer who knows both, uh, we look around the products which you have worked. Now, there is a possibility that you have worked on end-to-end product, or maybe you have worked on some part of the product. Like for a bigger company, when I talk about, for example, if I take just Chrome, it's not that a single designer is working on the entire Chrome browser. There are maybe 10, 15, 20, hundreds of designers who's working on different parts of the Chrome. That's how it works. But as I was talking about the startup company I have worked on, there I was the only designer initially who worked on the complete app. So that's a difference. But what we try to see is you have worked on an end-to-end flow or a kind of a specific feature. What is your design process around it? Like, did it like a PM came and gave you a problem statement and you started working? Is that kind of a skill set you have? Or something like you started asking questions, try to figure out what exactly is the problem? I think the biggest challenge right now is figuring out the problem. Solving it, I feel it's still a easy part right now, but figuring out a problem is the most difficult part, which we kind of like look around and in your project what you show which is there, and then basically comes to a more specific part. When you said a good project, we start asking questions around how did you collaborated with a PM and engineering. Right now, as I said, product designers doesn't work in a silos. Product design work in partnership with a product manager and engineering team hand in hand. So during when you're presenting your case study or a portfolio, I would say we ask questions around this kind of thing, that hey, what was your feedback from your PM? How did you taken that feedback? How did you went back to the design? Did you change anything? You pushed back on something? What are the kind of trade-off you did with an engineering team? Because everything you make in Figma cannot go exactly same life in the first go. So the question is, as a product designer, how did you make those trade-off? How did you basically plan those phases? And this entire thing actually consists of a portfolio. It's not that just the case study you write end to end and you just present it. It will not, because I have seen some of the very good product case study. But when you are presenting it, look like you as a single product designer in silo worked versus somebody who have worked with a team, but not maybe a very great product. Uh, we 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 have taken those people into consideration. So that's the difference between, I would say, an average portfolio versus somebody who stands out, who knows how to work in this kind of a team structure which is there.
Okay, yeah. So we have a lot of beginners who are trying to apply in internship or jobs. So what should beginners highlight when applying for internship or entry level UX roles?
Okay, so when you are applying, see, there are two kind of a path. What I say, you may have a project already, and you wanted to showcase those project. Um, you have already learned about design, or and you are applying to it. So it's more about the case study which you present. I would say that first time maybe you will not be land up into a great case study, but the first draft is important. So, an interview is a very good process. Like if you're applying for an internship or a job role, remains same. Uh, to gather feedback around your case study. If you start presenting it to somebody in an interview panel, they will start giving you feedback. Ensure you capture that feedback, come back, and next time you should not have exactly the same feedback. So that's the a great way to basically structure your case study in a very progressive manner. How it's there. Now there is a possibility that you may not have any kind of a case study. Now again, landing up into a internship role from that without being coming from a design background may not be so easy, which is there. Like I would not say that you'll apply and you'll get it into it, which is there. So that's why we say there are definitely a formal education, there is definitely a self-learning path. You need to figure out what exactly works for you, which is there. Like there was a time, even after I think 4 years into the industry, like I was with Amazon during that time, even I thought of having a formal education into design masters, but due to some personal reason I was not able to go for it. But it's not that I have never thought into it. But now I do not have now that option, or maybe kind of a also a mindset, I would say, that I can go. But I have started self learning into it. How is it? So that's the way. Even for an internship right now, people ask for something. If you have case study, there can be a case study which you take by yourself, which is there like a problem statement or something. I always recommend, if you're looking for a product designer or a UX designer role or a researcher kind of a role, do not just go for a UI refresh. It's a very common practice in the market, which I've seen. You just go and take Amazon's UI and somebody make it very fancy and nice and great UI, and it's like this is my case study. My question is, do Amazon do not have designers to make it fancy UI? No, there is a reason behind it. There are great designers in Amazon also. So there is some thought process behind not making it such a fancy kind of a website which is there. That's what we wanted to look for. So you can start with a problem statement now, because we have a lot of AI tools, ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, everything is there in the market. So definitely you can use any of them to help you out to structure a case study. Now the thought process will be yours, but as you said, we have still a maybe a gap of what exactly need to be done. Those tools can help you basically figure out how can you structure it, how can you make it better, or maybe something called as industry standard, which people want to look around. So yeah, that is a great part to look around.
Okay, Vaya. So you said that you were in a company where you are the only designer. So how do you discover problems over solving, and how do you validate them before designing anything?
Okay, I think there the structure is more into you do, then you fall, and then you learn, and you again do it back. That was the structure. I would not say there was no process of validating our design before we make it live during that time. Now we have a lot of process. We go for usability testing, we go for a one-on-one feedback, so A/B testing, we something called as beta alpha beta testing, those kind of a thing. But with during those time, we never had those. We may release it into beta user, we test it in house. Like there are definitely the employees who works for that company, we used to test it over there. But the actual feedback we used to get it once it's released. So it's not that I would say every design was a foolproof design. We launched a lot of design, we got feedback, we came back, revamped it, reinvent it, and then went back again. So that was the process when I worked for this startup. which is there. So it's a bit difficult to validate. From a research point of view, also gathering data is difficult when you're working at that kind of a company, because you do not have again tools or maybe access. And during that time, there was technically no AI which helps you to gather data around it. So it was more of a manual process, like wherever you get data. But I started figuring out from where I can collect data. As I said, like, can I go in an offline store and start talking to user? That's a good data point because I don't have any other resource. Can I go to a Google Play Store and start seeing comment? How is there? Can I listen to a customer care's call, which somebody is calling and telling a customer care what's their frustration is? Like, I was trying to figure out what are the different sources of collecting data, which is there. I feel now at this point, 2025, we know what are the sources of data. It is easy to access the source of data. That's the difference, like long back versus now in the time. So yeah, I mean that was my process during that time.
Okay, Bhaiya. So let's say once a problem is validated, so how does your design workflow look like? Like starting from the research to testing.
Okay. First of all, we like before we release to the end audience, I always say that we don't validated a kind of a solution. We may validate that okay, problem is there. Now to validate a problem, we do a lot of research definitely around it. Now for that, a product designer can also do, a UX researcher also can do. Again, uh, we validate to some extent. It's not that it's always foolproof. We are always have a kind of a buffer zone which is there. But once kind of you know that what exactly is the pain point you started wanted to solve, um, the process is more towards what exactly we wanted to build around it, which is there. Like for example, you have a problem of delivery a food from a hotel, and that's how the process. So we started looking into different kind of solution, maybe what exactly can solve it, and that's how maybe Zomato and Swiggy came into picture. What is there, like how can we do this? And then it's more of the process. How do you connect with the pm and figure out okay what we want to develop, how do we phase it out, what are the things we need to have. Like there is a possibility that you validated a problem and from that you get to know that okay, we have maybe around 10 things to do to basically solve this problem in an app or a website or in a product. uh, you may not be able to achieve all the 10 in the first go. So the first phase is more into the planning, that how do you plan a progressive release, what is the most important versus what is like kind of okay to have at the end also. Those kind of what is we call, like a lot of people call it as a MVP plus plus. These are like common industry terms, but it's more of what exactly actually the user needs in the first go to solve that problem, those kind of a thing. From that, definitely we go to design board. We do some kind of a brainstorming with again an extended team. It happens with a PM, it happens with a engineering team. It's not again happens in silo with a designer. It happens with peers also who are also working in the same project and the like similar kind of a project which is there. Um, Now from that we go to more into we say again high fidelity, low fidelity. These are very like industry standard terms, but again it's a process of a designer how they figure out a low fidelity or they want to go for a high fidelity. We have, like for this company, we have definitely design system built into it, so we do not have to think from that perspective that what is the button looks like. Those kind of thinking, definitely we don't have to do it, but we think more from a perspective that where exactly it should go, where exactly it makes sense, those kind of a decisions. And once you have certain things as a process, we again go back to the team, get their feedback on a very initial level. Now this processes helps you to validate that you are in a aligned path, what we say, like you are not deviating from the kind of scope or things you have initially decided. And once you have certain things, we definitely do a usability testing with maybe an user kind of and usability testing can happen with a prototype, it can happen with a static screens, both the thing is fine which is there. From usability testing again we get feedbacks from our users, or maybe internal users, which is there, and we basically work on those again. Once we are done with that, okay, this is something which is a kind of a cut for the first release. We work on a definitely a file called as design handoff file, which is more into like we look from a dev perspective. We remove things which we keep on doing in a design page and remove what is just keep what is important. How's the flow looks like, where is there is an interaction, those kind of a thing. We take a walkthrough of with a developer, tell them what's the process, what are the things you have designed, what to keep in mind. Then the support, we say it's more of a support, and it keeps on happening in the entire development phase. It's not that once you give the handle file then you are done. It's not. Maybe a developer is developing, they come back to you, okay, this is possible, this we find this challenge, what are the things around it, is it there is a workaround, is this looks correctly like how Figma is, those kind of a thing. And then technically you have a more of a we say again, a lot of people know about beta testing, alpha testing, those kind of a thing. A situation is there. So yeah, I mean that's the kind of a process which I just jotted down in a very simple word. Internally it's a very big process, and there are a lot of inside steps are, but this is like an uh, kind of a top level flow which we look around in a process.
Okay, Bhaiya. So it is the time of the year when many first years do join the college. So for someone in the first year or even second year who is trying to explore design, how should they test whether design is the right path for them?
I mean, it's again a very subjective question. How somebody can figure out design is a path. My question is more into you entered into engineering college, right? How did you figure out that engineering is your path? Maybe the same way you can figure out design is your path. Again, as I say, because maybe in LinkedIn you keep on saying a designer, or maybe so again, design is a kind of an industry which is right now developing. It's not a complete developed industry how software engineering already is. It's kind of slightly maybe a saturated, so there are new kind of software engineers also coming into picture, whereas design it's still evolving. So you may hear a lot of craze about it maybe in LinkedIn or different kind of places which is there. So that doesn't mean that you have to go into design. What I say is it's more about you want to try, definitely give it a try. This is a good time to try, as you said, first year. You have another 3 years technically because you are already in engineering to figure out whether design works for you. You take up a project, maybe do a hands-on, and then figure out whether it's cup of your tea or not. It's exactly same how you learn coding in engineering if you are doing a computer science engineering, that kind of a thing. And then if it falls like it feels good to you, definitely go for it. If you think about after that, okay, I want to have maybe a formal education, uh, great, a good path. If you think no, I want to do a self like kind of a self learning and then go to design, again a good path. It fits to your kind of a skill set, or I would say your background, how it's there. Maybe what worked for me may not work for you the same way. So just to figure out if design works for you, it's exactly the same process. If like anything else people figure out, like if somebody wants to be a cricketer, how they figure out they want to be a cricketer, it's exactly the same way it is. So there is no set path, I would say, that go and see this video and you'll figure out. It's not. It's that you it's a process, and everybody have a different process.
Okay, Bhaiya. So could you just share a structured roadmap? Like how did you learn UX from scratch? Like the skills you had and the tools you used?
Yeah. So I mean, for me, the learning started from college, where it was more into the graphics, more into print media. Now, a lot of people can say that okay, you want to be a product designer, why do you need a graphics and print media? I would say that gave me a very good understanding of how design actually works in a print media. What I see is right now there are a lot of product designer who works on physical product, but actually doesn't know how exactly it will look maybe when things are printed and those kind of a thing. I've seen like for one of the example, I see a lot of when you're printing a poster, if you put a lot of shadows which looks great in a UI design and a product design, when it prints it will be completely horrible, that kind of a thing which is there. So it's not everything. So every kind of a design have made me learn how exactly it's there. It's not I followed a specific path, but it was more of the interest or the next project I went to. So from a magazine design, I went to directly into a app design for a company directly. So that helped me learn around mobile application, how it's being used, those kind of things. How do you integrate a payment? Maybe how do you use a map or maybe a search? What is a paradigm of search? How exactly it works? From that, when I went to Amazon, it helped me understand more about how a e-commerce market works. In e-commerce also, we always look around customer, right? But there are something called as sellers also. So now sellers is a very big part of company like Amazon. So how you made sellers experience? What's the mindset of a seller? From that again, Microsoft more into consumer face product, that helped me understand what is the thinking around AI based product and how the behavior of the user is. So my path was more into where exactly I was going. That was my learning path, which is there. It's not that I saw some of the videos and then that's how it learned, but it's more of on ground for me, which happened. I usually say the best learning is the on ground learning. If you get it, maybe you may not get that in the first hand. So again, try to figure out what exactly maybe something which you wanted to take up your own. uh, Again, internships are the best thing. So can you get an internship around it, which helps you to learn what exactly works happens in on ground. That's there. So yeah, I mean, those are the paths which is like kind of I took as a self learning path. But there are different paths. When you go for informal education, it's a complete different path, which helps you to figure out, as you said, what exactly I need to learn as a beginner. The formal education actually helps you over there. But as a self learner, you are figuring out yourself. That's the difference. So yeah, that how it, like, these are the things which work for me.
Okay, Bhaiya. So there is a conception in many people's mind that AI is generally taking up jobs. So where do you see UX and product design headed in the next 5 to 10 years, especially when AI and automation are evolving so fast?
Okay. So, I mean, you said about 5 years, as you said, it's evolving very fast. Let's not talk about 5 years. 5 years too like down the line. Maybe 1.5 year or 2 year. That's also too long, because AI is always evolving very fast. Now, coming up to the taking a job, I mean, it's a maybe it's something which is there in the market. But as I said, I for last almost 4 or 5 years I'm working on AI products, which is there. I never felt the same thing, to be working for this kind of a product, which is there. Like, I again, maybe somebody can feel, again, I'm talking about from my personal experience. AI have helped me to figure out what are the things which was kind of a not important as a like important things as a product design process, and how do we basically remove those things rather than completely taking my part. It basically helped me to figure out how to do it, those kind of a thing. But what to do it, something again is my part of the job. What exactly we need to solve, what is exactly the pain point. AI cannot come and tell you, okay, this is the problem which people are facing. It's more of that you figure out what is the root cause, but how to solve it, maybe that can help you. So right now, if I take an example into the world of research, UX researcher, maybe previously they used to see the entire video of recording of a one-on-one interview, go back to each and every step and then document it. Right now, AI actually helps them to basically process it very faster in a very, I would say, helpful data format. It's not that very random processing. It's more of a useful data formatting kind of a thing. So yeah, that's how it helped around it. As a designer, it's helping me. So we work on a lot of design system based like products. So what happens is, a lot of time while working on some of the UIs and all, we use a wrong color or maybe something which is not aligned to a design system. So to ensure quality of the design, we had a lot of manual process where somebody maybe checks and all. Now, if you see this year's, like, just few, I think few weeks back, Figma released something called as the check design. which is again a great thing to have, because now that's being replaced by a process, or a feature which is there. So what I say is, if somebody is thinking that okay, AI will replace me, I would say make it as your team partner. That will help you to increase your productivity. That will definitely increase you to get more ideas now, how to solve is, what to solve it, those kind of a thing. But if you start competing with it, then I don't know, like whether it may replace you again in future if you start competing with it, because maybe it have that much of data to process, which as a human maybe it's not possible for us, which is there. So that's how basically the world is evolving. And maybe 1.5 year or 1 year or 2 year down the line, we will remove lot manual process from the like what we have right now. I was talking about something around planning. Now planning is kind of a bit of manual process also, because when I talk about planning, it's more of a pen and paper based planning. What exactly you need to do, what is timeline around it, who is responsible. Maybe somebody makes a tool which is around this, like I know Asana is a kind of a working on this kind of a CRMS tool, which is there. But yeah, I mean, that's possible down the line. So that's how it's evolving. Your job is evolving, your job role is evolving with AI coming into picture, and tomorrow maybe agent coming into picture. You don't have to sit down, write a mail, or set up a meeting. Maybe tomorrow agent will come and do all the things. You just have to tell what exactly need to be done. So it's more of your helping hand which is there. So it will, like, I don't feel it like even after 3 years also it will replace, but it will ensure that you are working on relevant things. That's why it's very important you start learning the new trends, how it's there. You start leveraging those. I would say upskill as a designer into those kind of a like skill set or segments. If you don't do it, obviously there is a chance of removing it, like kind of replacing with AI tomorrow.
Okay, Bhaiya. So, what is the most exciting or fulfilling part of being a designer for you?
I mean, again, if you just ask this question to any designer, the first thing will be, because they involve in so much of process. They're like, okay, I just wanted to release my product. That's the thing. That's how it will look into. But what what it happens is, when you see your product into the industry and somebody is using, and somebody comes to you and like, hey, this is something which I used, and you figure out that that's what you were responsible for. Again, it can be an internal user, it can be an external user. A lot of people work on B2B segment, a lot of people work on B2C segment, both the thing. But I think that's the kind of a moment where a product designer thinks, okay, this is something which is meaningful, which is there. So I mean, the most exciting part for a product designer is design something or release something which is meaningful, which is there. Also, it is important that as a product designer, one of the core goal for me is whatever I design in Figma needs to go live. If all the good design sits just in Figma, it never sees the like day of light, then I don't know, am I doing a great job or not. That's something which is there. So I mean, these are the couple of things which a product designer definitely look forward to, that the product needs to be maybe in market, B2B or B2C, somebody is using, it's actually solving what they made for, which is there. So yeah, I mean, these are the few things which we look forward to.
Okay, Bhaiya. So, what does an ordinary workday at Google look like? Like, is it just fun-paced or experimental or surprisingly chill?
Yeah, if you go to Instagram, it's like people say we go eat again, eat, and come back to home. That's the how the work life in Instagram looks like. But yeah, we definitely go have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's definitely there. But in between, there are a lot of things over there. So if I talk about day-to-day process, it's exactly same as any other company. It's not that Google does something separately or Microsoft or Amazon. It's more about what kind of task you are working on. um, Definitely you can work on some phases in one day, some other phases. So there is no set routine we have every day that we follow the same thing. Someday you just maybe you don't want to work, and it's like, okay, this is something I just want to go office. Maybe I don't have bandwidth. I have already worked on certain things. Now my mind is full. You stop for one day. Next day you come. You work on more things, which is there. That's possible. But one thing we ensure is what we say is as our process, like not a day-to-day process, but I would say more of a maybe a weekly or bi-weekly or monthly process. We ensure that we have transparency across teams, like as a design team versus a product team versus a engineering team, so that everybody knows what exactly is happening over there, so that nobody is in a blind spot. Someday there is like, hey, where is this design? And you're like, hey, this didn't happen because of xyz reason. Then like, okay, we why didn't we discuss those kind of a thing? So that's there. So otherwise I don't think there is a set process which is there other than I'm having a breakfast every day. There is nothing such.
Okay, Bhaiya. So before concluding, so is there any piece of advice that you would like to give to your younger self at KIT?
I mean, what I say is maybe during that time I didn't had so much of resources to learn. It's great that again I see a lot of platforms to have resources, a lot of places to connect to people to learn. So what I say as a kind of a when somebody is starting into design journey is like have that mindset of like learn around it, figure out from wherever you can learn. That's like any platform, any medium. That's good. Learning more is completely fine than losing out on something which is there. And again I say the same thing to the person who was there in kit, that okay, you I think still if somebody asks me what exactly different you would have done, no, it's exactly the same thing we would have done long back. So I don't think something separately we would have done. I would have done because during that time that's the kind of path I had. But yes, if you are starting now, start learning, figuring out things. How what are the new things coming into design? Be updated to it. Look which is relevant in next 2 years. As I said, maybe manual process will not be relevant in next 2 years. So start figuring out how to integrate AI and agent, or maybe tomorrow some new hybrid comes into the picture. Those kind of a thing. So yeah, that's how it's again about the curiosity you will have in design to learn more.
Okay, Bhaiya. So I guess we have come to an end of the podcast. So now we'll be taking up questions from the chats. So just let me just read those out. So Divyani has asked that I was on a career break for 1 year. Now I am working on my portfolio. With AI bringing a lot of changes, what portfolio should I build? Traditional one where everything is designed manually, or by using AI tools where Figma won't even be used?
Okay. If you're building a new portfolio, like maybe a problem statement from what you wanted to build a new problem statement kind of a thing, I would say, yeah, make sure that your problem statement is relevant to current how the user base is. But if you're talking that I have worked in past some product XYZ product, I'm in a I had a career break and now I am back to kind of working on that same product. I would say build the same product again. Do not try to forcefully put AI into it. What you have built, you have built. You cannot change. Build it. What you have already done in past, and maybe if you're working on a new project, then definitely look around what's relevant right now, which is there. But with the past, what you have already worked on, that's a good one to start with.
Hmm. So, okay, so yeah, next, Rishabh has asked that I have seen a lot of product designers start working towards the product manager level side of the things is their career progress, and the UI work reduces. Would the design profession evolve into more of a product?
Okay, so yeah, I understood what he wants to ask. So basically, it's more around like maybe a product design is moving towards a product
Hmm.
management kind of a role. But again, that's a personal choice. I would not say that everybody is moving towards the product manager role kind of a thing. We will see a lot of again, as you said, that maybe UI work will reduce. maybe in future there is something called as generative UI. There are a lot of companies who is working on generative UI, where basically you as a designer, maybe you're not setting up a UI. You are again, the AI, the LLM actually helps you to figure out what the AI on a runtime kind of a thing which is happening. Maybe in those cases your screen numbers will reduce, but your product designer's job will be still relevant, because we'll be figuring out what problem to solve around it, how exactly you will be solving those kind of a thing. Now also, if I talk, our UI task has been reduced after design system kind of a thing comes into a place, because now you're not designing, as I said, for everything from scratch. It's more of a how do you set things around it. Again, designing UI, sometimes I feel it's more of a manual work in certain places. Like for example, you are designing for a login screen. I don't think there is a new pattern you will come up in login. There is a set pattern which is already there. So for me, I feel sometimes it's a manual task. So it's good that it's like we are working towards something where those things will keep on going. So like one of the example is Figma came up with something called as empty state. So if you have a design, you go to a prompt and write, I want to build an empty state of the same design. It takes the same design, make it into empty state. Why it is relevant? Now, as a designer, I need to give the empty state to a developer also to make ensure that this is how it looks in an empty state. But I don't want to do because it's a manual work. Now that's how the AI is helping, which is there. So again, I don't see that people have to move to a product management role. But as a product designer, you will definitely manage a product, which is a skill set again. But yeah, your path will definitely be relevant.
Okay, Bhaiya. So Nandita has asked an interesting question. How can I use storytelling effectively in UX case study? Also, what do recruiters usually look before shortlisting candidates for interviews? And how can I make my portfolio stand out as a beginner?
Okay, so coming to the first, the storytelling part, what happens is when we talk about storytelling, people think that how do I read my case study, how do I talk about my case study? But what I see is from a storytelling, as a from an interview perspective or somebody you are telling, what we wanted to look around is what is your journey. Like just now, I talked about how exactly is my design process. How did I connected with the PM? How did I get the feedback? I talk about those things in my interview. It's not that the case study which I'm showing them, I'm reading through it. If I have to do that, then why there is an interview needed? The person can read through the same case study separately also. So my job as a storytelling during an interview process, or even if you're telling it to somebody or a stakeholder, the important part is you tell your journey. That's how the story looks like. It's like a kind of a movie. You start from where exactly you started, what exactly happened, why did you came across this design, what is the reason behind this design, and how did you evolve around it. How did you take a kind of a what we say trade off, what was the reason of trade off, and how did you do those kind of a trade off. So that actually switched to a story, and I would say that makes it more interesting for a interview also to listen to it, that what exactly happened, rather than just telling that, hey, I did a first research, I got this feedback, I worked on this 10 thing, I first like kind of scoped out that this 5 design I need to do, I worked on this screen and xyz, then I tested the screen and then I give it to them. I don't want to listen to this kind of a story, but it's more of you tell your journey, how exactly it is there. So that's the storytelling part. Now coming to recruiter, how usually shortlist candidate before interview. So I think uh, again, shortlisting a candidate, there are different processes, there are different paradigm which every company have uh, based on again the job role. Maybe somebody is looking for something which is AI based project. Maybe somebody is looking for something which is fintech based project. Maybe somebody is looking just maybe for a product designer. So the case study, you have it in your portfolio. Ensure that case study is well defined, and maybe that's the first thing which they see, and come back. Now again, recruiter themselves do not go through your case study. It's more of the hiring manager. So recruiter shortlist based on maybe your profile, maybe your past experience, your current experience, your current location, Maybe sometime there is a compensation factor also comes into picture. So there are different parameters on which they kind of see that, okay, this is the person's portfolio, it came, and then they pass to the hiring manager. The hiring manager see a basic understanding of, again, experience level, what kind of product this person have worked on, and then if that makes them like, okay, this person needs to come for an interview, that's how it comes. And the second process is you go through a referral. Now again, when I talk about referral, there is a big myth that I go to LinkedIn, I ping anybody in that company and ask for a referral, I get a referral, now my entry is done, my I'll get an interview. That's how I would not refer, like I would not say referral is. Referral is more about, um, you see a hiring manager who is hiring for their team and you kind of reached out to them. That makes it more relevant because that person is hiring. If you reached out to me and somebody is hiring in cloud team, the biggest problem is I'm like Google like company or Microsoft like company is so big that I may not know the person who is sitting in the cloud team. So it's not that I'll ping them and like, hey, take this person, that kind of a thing. Which is that it may happen that I like your portfolio great, I'll put it into the portal. So again, putting into the portal will not ensure that you'll get an interview. Again, I am a designer, there are hundreds of designers, there are hundreds of referral, hundreds of designers are putting into, so everybody cannot come into picture. So that's how, like, shortlist happens, which is there. So do ensure that you are reaching out to the right people, I would say, for referral. Like random referral sometimes doesn't works over there. So yeah.
Okay, Bhaiya. So Divyalochan has asked that I just wanted to be specific that how you switched that company from on bikes to Amazon. Where did you find that job, and what things did that company like Amazon? What things did that company like Amazon hired you without having a design degree? Like, what are the specific things you want to advise to someone who wants to speed up his growth as a UX designer?
Yeah. I mean, coming to the first question of where exactly I find this job. So
Hmm.
I applied to Amazon like before 1 year before. I applied to a role, but I got rejected. Next year, after 1 year, maybe they actually keep the things in database and keep the recruiter, or I would say the talent acquisition partner, which they actually look for candidates also in LinkedIn or Behance, different kind of places, which is there right now. LinkedIn is pretty good platform where they figure out. So they actually reached out to me saying that this role have opened again, do you want to apply for the same. That's how I applied back to the same thing. Now coming to the question, how did I like what exactly hired, like why exactly Amazon hired me. The reason being, it's not about degree they were looking into, but they were looking into more of a product, because I already had done like 1.5 years of experience. So I had a complete product building. Um, so when a company actually asks for your degree, like what exactly degree is coming, they want to validate that if I'm taking this person as a designer, what is the credibility that this person knows about design. Now there are two ways you can show it. One is either you go through maybe a formal education. From that I know that okay, this person have gone through a formal education, maybe internally done some project, so good credibility around. And the second is if you already have some portfolio. So I already had that on bikes company's entire end-to-end application which is there. So that helped me kind of crack into the interview. And I remember from that time or before that time, like nobody have till now asked me what is your, like, you don't have a design degree, how can I hire. It never happened to me. It's more of what portfolio, what are the products you have in your portfolio, those kind of questions into picture. So once you have a product into a portfolio, then the question revolves around it more rather than your degree. But if you're just starting from the college, definitely there will be questions around it, and I would say that okay, it will not come and all, it's wrong thing. But yeah, definitely it will come, because they wanted to figure out a credibility of how exactly I will ensure that you knows about design. So if you show that okay, I have this project in my portfolio, I have done maybe xyz internship, then even if you come from a different background, I'm not talking about engineering, maybe you come from some other background, marketing background, something like that, it works for them, which is there. So yeah, it's more about what exactly it's present in your portfolio.
Okay, Bhaiya. So Divyani has asked that do MAANG companies or any other MNCs hire designers who do not have a degree in designing or engineering, especially considering the current job market?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think degree is a barrier to get hired as a designer. But yeah, saying that there are certain, I would say, kind of uh, guidelines they have internally. Like for example, they may have a guidelines that this person needs to be at least have a bachelor's degree to apply for this role. Now the bachelor's degree can be in any kind of a different place, or maybe graduate, those kind of a thing which is there. So those are basic parameters which is there, or maybe 12th pass, those kind of things. So it is again parameters based on the company. It's not that if somebody says that I have not done my education itself, like maybe 10th or 12th kind of a thing, then still they get are eligible. There is a possibility that you are not eligible even if you have a good portfolio. There is a possibility, again I'm saying, because there are certain legal guidelines which is there. Now coming to if you have meet those parameters, then you do not have a barrier of design as a degree. It's more about, if you don't have a degree, then it's more about your portfolio. uh, Even if you have a degree, still it's talk about, like people talk about, like if I'm hiring from a design college also, I ask for them the like thesis project or final year project, those kind of a thing. Still I evaluate on the case study only, which is there. So that's how basically the hiring works on not only Mang, but I would say most of the company.
Okay, Bhaiya. So Rishabh has asked that can you tell us more about the portfolios the FANG companies for the newer product design hires, like at the core of it, good product thinking, good UI skills in UI mobile or desktop.
Yeah. So I would say do not go directly as a UI skill set. It will not work. Go as a product thinking skill set. That's important in your entire case study. What is your product thinking, which we say, and that have different processes. Now, UI is also a process of product thinking. It's not that UI comes separately, which is there. But if you just show them a UI skill set, then the question is, will you get hired as a product designer? No, may not. Maybe you get a chance still as a visual designer, maybe UI designer, but right now in industry also as a visual designer, UI designer, we are looking towards more of product thinking, that this person knows around the product which is there. Now I see there are a lot of word around Mang, Fang. Again, I always say that remove this word. Just consider you want to get hired as a like product designer, irrespective of its Fang, Mang. Anybody can tomorrow go and be a company. Like it depends on again company's performance. Now Nvidia is like to be in the top, so why we are not including it in Mang and Fang? So it can happen. But if your portfolio is considering this kind of a skill set, that product thinking needs to be there, I need to show what's my design thinking around it, then irrespective of any company, it's easy to crack an interview, because any company follows the similar kind of a process, irrespective of anything around a specific company. So I would say focus more into those kind of a thing, where basically you are looking around what is the product thinking. Do not make your portfolio very specific to Fang or Mang. Again, I don't know how that portfolio also looks around a Fang or Mang based portfolio. I never thought of that and build the portfolio. It's more of the products which I've worked on, what is my thought process around it, those kind of case studies I made. So yeah, I mean, look around the product thinking. That's something which is, I feel, core, and it will be relevant in next 2 years also.
Okay, Bhaiya. So Pranitha has asked that what is the correct way to apply jobs as a fresher? How we will stand out?
I mean, correct way, I don't know. Go to a portal, apply to the apply button. That's the correct way. I don't know exactly what's the correct way, but if you're asking me more from how do you basically get more visibility, I would say making it in a like presence in LinkedIn is definitely helped for me. Like all the jobs I have got in my career is through LinkedIn till now. So it's not from the portal which is there. So I say that yes, definitely make your presence. That's a very good platform right now where you, as a fresher, also you start seeing a lot of internship, a lot of people posting those kind of a post, and you reach out to them, figure out how to stand out. I already answered from a portfolio point of view, but if you're just asking from a job point of view, yes, making connections in LinkedIn, figuring out the right people whom you wanted to give your portfolio. That's how it make you stand out.
Okay, Bhaiya. So Rahul has asked that what is the roadmap for starting a career in UI UX intern, and what portfolio projects are sufficient to get started? Can AI be used in our design case studies? And what do people like you look for in an intern? Can you just walk through the Google end-to-end design process for a project?
Yeah, I'll just answer one by one. Couple of things I've already answered. Uh, like what is the okay roadmap? I had already talked about around the roadmap. Portfolio project is sufficient to get started. So I see it's not that you need 10 project. It's just one project which end to end maybe. And then basically, if you have more project, definitely keep on adding. But a lot of people, what they do is just to increase the quantity, they keep on adding project. But my thing is more into quality of the project, because in an interview also, because it's an 1 hour or maybe maximum of 2 hour of interview, you will never get a chance more than presenting one case study, or maximum of two. That kind of a process setup is there. So if you don't land up into that one case study, even if you have 9 others, it will not work out for you. So it's good to have start. If you're just starting, start from the one, because again the most important part is reaching to that one. And then again, one scaling 1 to 10 is, I feel it's less effort as compared to 0 to 1. So that's why that figure out that which is there. Coming to AI to be used in case study, definitely it is very relevant. I say don't ask the AI, go and ask the solution, because the solution will be then based on some biasing maybe, which is again based on the data grounding that AI have. Maybe Gemini gives you a different answer than Copilot, because maybe the grounding data is different, or it's possible that both of them gives you the same answer, which is possible. But how you can use AI is more into, you can show that, hey, as I was saying, remove manual tasks, where exactly you use to make yourself more productive and relevant, those kind of thing, which is important. What do people look like in an intern? I know. What do people like? You look for an intern. I don't know what people look specifically in intern. It's just that human. That's what they look for. So why I said human, because when I talk about right now all the AI structures, every AI do have kind of definitely a LLM process intelligence built around it. There is an emotional intelligence which definitely we only have as a human, which I don't see it right now in the tool. So I mean, that's how we look into the product also thinking. So we figure out where is the basically that uh, emotional intelligence, or where exactly empathy you have talked about. So yeah, I mean, again, case study works over there. End-to-end process, I took you around Google. Again, it's not Google, it's every company have a similar process, which is there. Do college club matters in the design hiring process? I would say it matters definitely, because it helps you to build up a like a case study, or a kind of a collateral which you can show it in a like interview. But if you are just telling that I am a part of a college club, then I don't think it will be very relevant to it. I was part of a, definitely it was again a college, not a club, I would say society, which was there. And because that didn't help me to land up into the startup job, but the things I worked for that society, that helped me into kind of going to the job.
Okay, well, yeah. So Siddhi has asked that since recruiter usually spend only 30 to 40 seconds reviewing a portfolio, how can we effectively explain everything in a short amount of time, especially when so much research goes into our work?
Yeah, definitely, that's a very good question. uh, I would say there is no full answer to it. People say that no, I have designed my case study very well. I say there is definitely a luck factor involved. I would never deny that there is no luck factor involved over there. As you say, like, there are hundreds of people are applying every day. So in 40 seconds, how can you decide? But that decision is based on what they see you as a package. So when a recruiter is shortlisting, so technically recruiter doesn't shortlist you. A hiring manager shortlist you. Recruiter figure out whether you are falling into all the relevant check marks. For example, if I'm hiring for a 10-year of role, I don't want to pull somebody who's at a 4-year. So that kind of a checklist which they follow. And then your portfolio goes to a hiring manager. Now, telling a hiring manager 30-second or 40-second, I would say it's more about uh, what product you have worked on, what's the overview of the project. So every case study definitely have an overview. I always say do include an overview in your project. And your overview should not be a very paragraph, more than paragraph, I would say. More of a just a essay kind of a thing. It's more of I would say there is something called a star format, which is like situation, task, action, and result. So it's more of what situation was there, what task you worked on, what action you have taken, and what is the impact of it. Impact is very important in your project, which we look around. So if that's something which you're giving it the overview, uh, the hiring manager gets definitely interested from it. They'll go through it and you'll get a call definitely.
Mhm. Okay, yeah. So Dibyani has asked that while creating wireframes, I don't feel confident about my screen layout. Anyone might design in it in a different way. I feel stuck at this step most of my time. Any suggestions?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I had the same problem. I always used to think of the same thing that, hey, wireframe, like, this can be designed in 10 different ways. The whole purpose of wireframe is to create and throw. It's not that kind of you have done this wireframe, now your UI needs to follow exact same format, like filling the boxes definitely needs to be. When you go to a UI, I'd say don't stuck in a wireframe always, that wireframe needs to be perfect. Wireframe is a rough thing we create. A lot of people make wireframe in pen and paper. I feel pen and paper is more relevant and quicker for me to create a wireframe rather than going into setting into Figma and doing those boxes. So I would say do a basic like justice to the wireframe. What you are thinking around. Don't think of whether this will be the right direction or wrong. You go to UI when you are designing more of a low fidelity or a high fidelity. Start doing it. You will find out definitely, as you said, that hey, this is the not the right layout. This can be change it over there. And this is the story I want to know in your case study when you are presenting it to an interview. That interests me. That how what wireframe you have created. Then while working on UI, what are the things which came to you and what made change your, like, what things made you change your decisions from a wireframe versus a UI. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say don't get stuck. Go ahead. It's fine that it's wrong. It's need not need to be right in the one go. A lot of people think that if my wireframe is incorrect later point of time, a lot of people will ask you questions. No, that's made for change. So work on the UI, go ahead, change things, and do include, definitely do include that in your case study. That hey, I created this wireframe, and while working on UI XYZ thing came, I had to change this, and that's a very good case study. I would say that's a very like strong case study. I want to look around.
Okay, Bhaiya. So Divyani has asked that do design or UX books really help?
Yeah, definitely. Like any source of resources, definitely help. It depends on what is your appetite to consume. Like for me, I'm still. It's very difficult for me to read a book. I get sleepy. Like I know it's a very bad thing to say, but I get sleepy when I start reading a book. But for me, video consumption is pretty easy. So it's about your appetite. What kind of resources you want to get knowledge from. So definitely book, design, resources like YouTube video. There are hundreds of things. Sometimes actually Instagram reel also helps me to learn again relevant to design, which helps me to learn those things. So anything which helps. you and your appetite is there to take consume it.
Okay, Vaya. DP Singh has asked that how to make an industry-ready resume. Like I see there are industrial standards format, but I also see your resume. If something is different from what we say industry standard, but your resume is more successful than what we build. And should there and there is anything we should keep in mind around it is.
Yeah, I mean, if you have seen my resume, great. Thanks for seeing it. I mean, there is a huge effort that you have seen. Why it is different? Because I thought that as a designer, I need to show that skill set also. It's not that I'm making a complete fancy resume, but a basic understanding of alignment and those kind of a thing. Now I know a lot of people talk about ATS in the market. So I was actually doing a research, I think 2 days before, about ATS, what exactly, how ATS works, like from again using an AI, what is the logic behind ATS? The main question, see again, ATS, I don't know. Again, it's a very recruiter related question. I maybe differ, but I'm talking from my experience. ATS is the. It's not that every company use ATS. ATS, there is no set process for ATS. ATS is a standard which is being set by every different company. ATS helps you to capture data from your resume and fill it into kind of a database which is there, so that it's easy for a recruiter to process your resume faster as compared to, because there are hundred of which is there. So ATS actually looks parse your resume through and figure out the keywords around. For example, if I'm applying for a design job, it looks around maybe B2B product. It looks around something like maybe Figma, something like design, UI, UX design, those kind of a thing, and parse it that this person's is mapped to this kind of a keyword, which is their resume. So it may do that. But what I have experienced in my lab, that even I was part of interview processes, we look around the resume like manually with my visible eyes, not just stands on a kind of a AI based or a tool based response which is there. So that's why I think maybe if I have checked the resume, maybe you have seen, I don't know which one, but the resume which I had in the last couple of years, I have checked the ATS score of it. It was zero, because I created the my resume in Figma, and somehow I converted it into image and then converted it into PDF. So what happened is it parsed across and it was not able to figure out any keywords to it. So my ATS score was zero, but still, yeah, somebody has seen the resume, and that's why I got the call. So do not just stick to ATS. I would say don't make your resume too fancy. We do not have so much of time as a designer. Your resume is your portfolio, what I say. But you need a resume just to, from a, again, guidelines point of view. So be ensure that things are there. Right now LinkedIn is kind of making a portfolio, like it's a portfolio platform for you kind of a thing. So ensure your LinkedIn is kind of updated more than your actual resume, which is one pager. That's what I can say.
Okay, Vaya. So Aparajita has asked that at times it is very difficult to find out intern opportunities, especially at MAANG companies. What do we do about this? Some are not even posted itself.
Yeah, I mean, it's not under your control. You can't do anything around it. Again, straightforward answer. Why? Because MANG's internship process sometimes open directly to the colleges. Again, design colleges. Because again, we wanted to hire a designer, so we'll go to a design college. It's same with how a MANG company goes to a engineering college for a software based internship. How is it? So we get most of the candidates for internship from that only. So that's why I say that, why do you have to target for an internship in a man? Just target for an internship. Now I always say going to a maybe a startup level, mid level company will may give you a better kind of exposure to a bigger tool. Maybe if you land to a man, you may work on a very small part of a large tool, whereas maybe a mid-level company will give you an end-to-end product, or maybe a new product you should think around in your internship tenure. So do not target for very specific those. Some are not posted, definitely. These things are not being posted. One or two maybe comes in a year, hardly I have seen. but they directly go to colleges to kind of have that, or sometimes they launch some kind of a design challenges, coding challenges, to figure out like best of the talent from there. So yeah.
Okay, Bhaiya. So Safalya has asked that, as you said, every company looks for a different thing. What is Google looking currently like right now? What do Google recruiters wanna see in your portfolio, project, and the candidate? What are the main shortlisting or selection criteria right now?
I mean, again, it's the question is to the recruiter. They hired me; they should say what they have looked into my portfolio. But if I just talk from as a designer, if I wanted to hire somebody in my team, uh, again, the things I was saying about the portfolio, the team, the collaborative skill set you need to have. How do you collaborate with PM engineering? How do you know about the new trends? Like how do you use AI into your day to day life? How do you simplify processes? Like for example, if somebody comes you in your design process and say that you have to do XYZ, it is not that every time that XYZ is correct. You can challenge it also that hey, I don't want to XYZ. There is a simpler path which is X and Z. You don't have to do Y always. If that path is good enough, if you can show it in your case study also that hey, our general process is this, but I figure out a better way to do the same thing, then your portfolio definitely stands out like in an interview. Like I would be the first one to hire you, because what I see is you look around things in a very design, again, product thinking manner, that you don't take it, somebody throws you XYZ, you don't take it as it is. You think around it, put your thought process around it, that why exactly it needs to be there. So yeah, I mean, those kind of skill set definitely will help you to kind of stand out, which is there. So do capture those things also in your post case study. Look for that, and that's how we look. Again, not recruiter, a hiring manager looks those kind of a thing around it. So yeah, that's the.
Okay, Bhaiya. So DP Singh has asked that, like, what is your mindset when creating a screen? Do you first list all the use cases for the page, or what goes into your mind? And when we say the problem solver, what does it actually mean as a designer? Can you give example?
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about use cases, yes, we definitely list down the use cases. We think we say like a journey of a user. We map like what are the different kind of a journey which is there around it, and that's how we start designing. Now, again, talking to that journey, the thing is, it's not that we if we have listed 10, those are the thing which will be there in the UI or maybe screens. As soon as we started designing, we may figure out that hey, there is one more journey, or maybe this journey doesn't make sense. Maybe two journey we can merge together. That's also possible. So it's a back and forth process kind of a thing where you do, yes, you do list down some of the more than use cases. As I said, it's a user journey or a path. We set that this is how the user works, XYZ things. Now let's make it into more of a visual how they will do it in the tool which is there. Now coming to problem solving skill, okay, problem solve is something you may have come across research, right? What problem? So the question is when you design your screens and you are completed with the product, you need to ensure that what initially you have from a research figure out what exactly is the problem, and from a user also what they exactly need. Is this catering to the same needs like your screens or XYZ? Like as I talk about Swiggy, like they must have thought about that, okay, we need to deliver a food, so as a user what are the different steps you do to order a food, and then they map it out and then maybe they convert it into the screen. But at the end, when all the screens are done, they wanted to figure out with these screens, are you able to kind of complete the journey of ordering a food, which was the initial problem, that I was not able to order the food. So that's how you map. But again, as I say, it's a back and forth process. There is no set constraint that you will go in a straight line. It's always you go forward, come back, again go forward. So that's how exactly it works.
Okay, Bhaiya. So Aparajita has asked that, sir, I am from a design college only. doing bachelor's in design, and still we don't have any of these companies. Can I please contact you, or how do we reach out? Please help.
Yeah. So again, as I said, this companies, the I feel again, the thing is, this company may not go to every colleges, every design colleges. The only reason they have limited again positions, they want to hire from best of the colleges, which is there. That's a mindset which is there. Like again, I cannot change you, you cannot change it, which is there. Now reaching out to this colleges, definitely there are teams. Who again, if you reach out to me, definitely I cannot help you to tell that Google go to this college. It will never happen. What happens is there are some set processes, there are some, again, as I said, there are legal processes involved, there are certain guidelines involved with the company where exactly to be gone. So there are teams around it. Again, I don't know what exactly the name of the team, but I used to know in some of the company previously. So they are kind of responsible for university recruitment. So the placement cell of the colleges or the college sometimes reach out to them during their placement season that, hey, we have a placement season, do you want to participate? That's kind of thing how it's happened. And then this company goes to those colleges. So yeah, that's the process which is there. Again, like I may not be able, like I may not be a right person to answer exactly what is the solution to it, but that's the process which is they follow.
Okay, Sujit Bhaiya, I guess that was the last question. So, Bhaiya, thank you. This was super insightful. Thank you for taking us through your journey from discovering design in college to design products at Google that impacts millions of people. For everyone listening, if you are exploring UI UX design as a career, you can take Sujit Bhaiya's journey as a proof that you don't need a perfect plan to start. You just need to start it. So, thank you, Sujit Bhaiya, once again for giving us your time and insights on your journey.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you for me falling into it and amazing questions. So yeah, and best of luck to everybody. You can reach out to me in LinkedIn. I'll try to help as much as possible, which is there. But yeah, thanks for again calling me over it.
Okay, yeah.
Have a good day.